Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici. Welcome, my friends. My name is Vincenzo, and welcome to the channel. The channel is Fountain Pen Therapy. Boy, am I glad to be back. Oh yes, this is the first weekly recap of 2026. Last week I decided last minute, come in on the Saturday, and last minute I decided that I would give you a treat, which was the annual 2025 recap. I put together very quickly. May have missed some things, but I try to give you the salient highlights of 2025, and I hope you appreciated that. I'm staring at a bunch of stuff, folks. While I was away, I've received inks, notebooks. I've purchased some during my vacation. I've got pen hauls, pencil hauls, roller balls. They're all staring at me, and you know, I'm going to have to pace myself here, but we'll take it one at a time, as they say. So without any further ado, Fountain Pen Therapy presents its weekly fountain pen recap for January the 18th, 2026. Okay, so welcome. Happy New Year. We're starting out 2026. First segment of this recap will be what's new in the market. Let's take a look at the Chinese pen market. There's some new stuff, and I would say to you, some of the stuff is exciting but expensive. And of course, you got Asvine, who's always in the picture, but with a little catch. Let me go to my computer, and first of all, this is the Asvine J16. Now let me just show you the one I've ordered. It's the Asvine J16 but in ebonite. I've ordered this green ebonite pen. It's now telling me currently unavailable, so that's on Amazon Canada, and frankly I didn't see it on Etsy, I didn't see it on AliExpress. And it appears that for the time being, it's not available through Amazon CA. If you take a look at Amazon.com, for our American friends, you could probably, it appears to be available, but I'm not sure. Being in Canada, it's telling me that it can't deliver here in Canada. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they sold out all their pre-orders. I'm sure this thing's going to pop up again. I was lucky enough to get it right away just because I surf almost on a daily basis for these things. So it's been ordered weeks ago, but it's pre-order. Eh? Everything's coming in February and maybe even March. So that to me is the biggest news on the Chinese pen market. But there's other stuff. Let's take a look on AliExpress. I saw this interesting, you know, wooden pens are becoming more and more a fad, especially in Japan. And I start to see that some of these wooden pens come with hand-polished long knife blade nibs. So that's always interesting. I saw this one from this newcomer by the name of ROHRER, if that's the way you pronounce it. I've seen a couple of offerings from them. What else have I got? I ordered this pen. This is the 630, but I like that ivory and with the blue with the blue finials, so I've ordered that one. Now look at this. I've been waiting for this pen all year. Shanghai Dude, or Knife Dude, announced this to us. It was available in China. I finally saw it on AliExpress. It's the limited Hongdian D6 Han 18 karat nib piston, part of the Dynasty series. But look at the price. It's $456. It's got a fine gold nib. Now, does it give us? Yeah, here. Take a look at this. Just bear with me. View more. Here we go. So I invite you to take a look at it. It's very tempting. I don't know if they plan to, put out a more standard version instead of this limited edition version. It doesn't look like it. It's a piece of art. It's a little bit like what Monte Grappa produces. But at $456.38, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. Speaking of Hongdian, well, let me finish AliExpress. On AdMock, I saw this AdMock 28. It's been around for a while. I think I might order just this one. I really like the resin on this kind of spaghetti resin. And this is a vacuum filler. I have the AdMock 28 that's not a vacuum filler. So I might bite here, and I would take either the Schmidt nibs or the AdMock nib. Forget about the Bock. The Bock, it's almost $20 more, and I'm not sure the Bock nib is better than the AdMock, frankly. So there's this one that may be of some interest, but again, it's nothing new. The M800 has attracted my attention these days, and I like the fact that they have all these new versions, very elaborate, with some of these gold plated, carved barrels. But you've seen that the M800, the AdMock M800, is coming out with different colors, and these are just had some variety. But there again, at $83, I've got my AdMock M800s. I've got a few. I'm not sure I will ever bite. I'm waiting for the price to go down. But still, if you haven't got one, this may be of interest to you. We saw the Asvine. Now, on Amazon.ca, Canada, I saw this Hongdian 14 karat 925 silver matte barrel, limited edition, 14 karat gold, $375. There you have it. Very interesting that Hongdian has come up with two very expensive offerings. Here again, I'm not sure I would go for that. There are, Teresa Harris mentioned this, Hongdian D5X have come out with new colors. So you've got this turquoise. You also got this kind of dark blue. I'm not sure if this one was offered before. And then you got this purple. At $73, looks like our prices are going up from our friends in China as well. So 3 new colors for the Hongdian D5X. X, I think, meaning that it's a cartridge converter as opposed to a piston. And some of you may prefer that. TWSBI has come out with the TWSBI Obsidian. I've ordered this pen, so stay tuned for it. I was attracted by it, and I think it's time I pay a little more attention to TWSBI. So there you have it. It's a good pen, and it's a good pen to compare with some of our Chinese pens. Leonardo has come out with a new Momento Zero, not Momento Zero Grande, but Momento Zero, nude resins. They're going for 139 or 36 euros, which is a very reasonable price. Of course, steel nibs, but I thought I'd mention that. There it is. It's being offered from Stilo in Stile and also by Casa Stilografica, and I think it's also offered on some of the U.S. sites. Pen Chalet, I bought these 4 inks. Actually, I bought them from a Canadian site in Toronto, but they're the Red Horse. So Chinese, this year, 2026, is the year of the horse. And I'm fascinated by that. So I'm expecting pens. I've ordered a notebook from AliExpress with the Chinese Red Horse, year of the Red Horse. I've ordered these 4 Colorverse inks, 3 of which are glistening and going on different shades. One is on purple blue, the other one's gold, the other one's dark green, and then you got a standard one. So that should be coming in soon, and we will feature those 4 inks. And maybe I will try to feature them once. I'm just thinking that the Chinese are going to come up with a 2026 Year of the Horse pen. I just have that feeling, but I may be wrong. Goldspot has the Leonardo Furore Grande. Now, I know they came out with new Furore model, but I thought they were the standard. So if this is the Grande, I might be interested in owning a Leonardo Furore Grande. I believe all my Furores are standard size, but I've got to check that. If not, I might go for a Grande. Now, do they offer a Grande with a number 8 steel nib? And maybe that's what I'm going to be looking for. Hopefully they will have that as an option. Goulet pens, what I notice on Goulet pens is that now Jacques Herbin, the anniversary series of inks, which are just gorgeous inks, are being offered in a 50 milliliter bottle. So you save, it's still $16 US for a smaller bottle, but some of you might be hesitating getting those inks because they're more on the expensive side. You might want to take a look at this smaller size bottles and at a more reasonable price. So those are I saw them on Goulet pens. Goulet pens is also offering this new TWSBI coming soon, Echo, which I think has got a similar resin trimming as the Obsidian. But there you have it. It's the bronze with a bronze trim. And what else have I got for you? No, that's the Asvine that we've seen. So there you have it in terms of what's new in the market. There may be other things, of course, but those are some of the items that have caught my attention. I've got this feeling that somebody in the Chinese, one of our Chinese pen makers is going to come out like gangbusters. I'm hoping it's Hongdian because they've got to wake up. I just dread if they become another PENBBS. Majon's going to come out with something. Will Wingsung come out with something? Perhaps. They're writing on their nibs right now. Majon is writing on their P140 and the 141 and their nibs as well. But I suspect, I just have this feeling that any day now, something's going to come. Asvine, just pre-order, but that's like weeks from now. But they came out of the gate right away with an older model, but with an ebonite finish. So there you have it, folks. Lots of choices, and stay tuned for my next segment. Okay, so for this next segment, we're going to take a look at some paper and what inks have I got for you this week. And we'll do some swatching, and then we'll look at all the hauls and everything that came in other than the inks and the paper. In terms of pens, I should say. I've got some pencils to look at, and I also got a very special rollerball ballpoint to show you as well. So without any further ado, let's take a look at what paper I have for you this week. Okay, so here's the paper that I have to propose for this week. It's a Clairefontaine product, but it's called the Triumphe. Lined, it's on a 8.5 by 11 size, or A4 size, I should say. It's lined. It appears to have the same kind of quality paper that we're used to from Clairefontaine, but this is the first Triumph product that I have. So we'll do some swatching on this ink, on this paper, and some writing as well. Keep in mind that one of my objectives early on in the year is to try to find a replacement for Tomoe River paper that I can live with for a while. And maybe that's not possible. Just realizing that, to my great chagrin, my inventory of original Tomoe River paper is quickly dwindling. I mean, I still got enough for maybe a year or two, I think. But you never know. Things go quickly. I've got plenty of Tomoe River Sanson, which I don't like. So I set out an objective, which is to kind of try to find an alternative. Several of you have already suggested some alternatives, like the standard, the Sanson, the Midori, Rhodia, but I'm not convinced yet. I'm still struggling with it. So Clairefontaine forms part of that evaluation. So that is the paper. As far as the inks are concerned, here are the inks that I have for you. Let me just tighten the bottles because I'm going to turn these things around. We've seen I've already swatched some ROHRER KLINGNER inks for you guys. Let me just take out the paper here. Different colors. What I have to propose to you this week is a series of colors that I would, that they're not all purples, but they're close to it. They're either magentas or variations of violet or purple, with some a little more red than others. I have aubergine, I have the magenta, the cassia, and the sulfurino. So we'll take these 4 inks. And I think next week I'm going to propose to you all the reddish inks that I have from ROHRER KLINGNER. So we'll take these 4 this week, and we'll see how this Clairefontaine paper reacts. I will definitely compare it to Tomoe River as well. So let me set it all up, and I'll be right back. Okay, we're all set. First one we'll try is this aubergine. I think it's a limited edition, so it comes in a different kind of packaging. I've kept the original, and as you can see, the bottle, just the packaging or the labeling is a little bit different than the standard inks. And you have a couple of these limited editions. This is one of them. So we'll start out with aubergine. I don't believe I've ever swatched this ink. And it's been some time since it's been in that bottle. So here we go. You got some room, so. And we only have 4 inks this week. Here we go. Okay. So this is just want to make sure I spelled it right. Is it R-O-H? Can never get it. R-O-H-R-E-R. Yes, sir. And this is aubergine. So we'll do the same here. Very nice. Nice purple. Very nice. Okay, so that's that. Let me just close the cap before we spill it. Next on, actually, let's get that more purplish. So we'll have one side by side. This is the cassia. these are inks that I did not purchase these inks recently. Wow. Sorry about that. I've had these for a while. These are kind of my first inks. There's the cassia. Must admit, very nice. A lot more variation to them than I originally expected. Wow. It shows I haven't done this in a while. Sorry about that. That's okay. And this is the cassia. We're swatching, right? So it's no big deal. And you know me, right? By now, if you're a regular viewer, you know that I can't do one of these swatching sessions without messing up something. So here we go. But, that's what makes it fun, right? Get dirty a little bit and move on. No big deal. Oh, I just want to make sure it doesn't stain my leather pad. There we go. Okay, next, Solferino. Let me see if I can do this without spilling it. Okay. Wow, that's nice. That is really nice. Folks, I'm glad I chose these. Look at that. You get fed up with blues and reds. I kind of realized that reds are problematic. I don't know why. They're difficult to clean, and they kind of crust up on me. I don't know if it's just me or my choices of reds. But I do want to get closer to the red shade. So to make it a little bit different. So these magentas or violets or purple are perfect in my view. They're, I think, a good kind of compromise or an in-between, the blues and the reds, right? So, and it gives you that variety. I know reds I usually kind of use to highlight things, professors use them to correct, or teachers. And I think a nice purple or a nice magenta is kind of it combines the two. So it's a good variety. That's my view anyway. Oh, the next one, by the way, is cassia. And you can see that they just have all different variation on the theme, so to speak. Oh, I'm glad. I'm really glad I chose these inks. Looking forward to inking some of the pens. Stay tuned for that. Okay, so this is ROHRER. And by the way, I've got a little surprise for you in terms of inks that I've ordered, and we'll mention that later on. But I'm really excited about what I just ordered yesterday. They're new inks from Colorverse, and we'll kind of chat about them just maybe in the last segment of this recap to announce what's coming up, so to speak. So, okay, so there you have the 4 inks. Sorry about the mess here. We'll let them all dry, and then we'll come back and just take a look at how both papers compare. I mean, I'm not worried about these two paper in terms of quality, in terms of fountain pen friendly. I know they both are excellent paper, but we can see kind of the differences and see how they show these inks. We'll be right back. Okay, so we're back with the inks. I did make a mistake. The last one wasn't Cassia. Cassia was this one. It was magenta, so we should correct there as well. Do I have a pen anywhere? Just so for the sake of that, should read magenta. You can tell it's been a month. A little rusty at this. Okay. Yeah. In terms of how it shows up, Tomoe River does have some additional features. For the aubergine, I can see some of that sheen that I don't see on the Clairefontaine. But I'm going to tell you, I'm very surprised with these two. A little more sheen on these two inks, the Cassia and the Solferino, but it's coming out fairly nicely on the Clairefontaine. A little darker for the magenta on the Clairefontaine as opposed to the Tomoe River. Both the magenta and the aubergine have a little more shading than you have in Clairefontaine, which they appear to be just standard, straight up darker colors. So there you have it. In terms of performance, I mean, not a problem with the Clairefontaine. Yes, this is very wet, but you don't write that way. There's no feathering, there's no ghosting. Tomoe River, typical, you'll see some ghosting, but not bad at all actually for Tomoe River. So the inks are well behaved, other than the swatching, which, it's nice and wet and you don't write that way, again, I repeat. So very well behaved inks, I got to tell you, and these two are very interesting. Well, we're going to put some of these inks in some of the pens I'm going to show you. And we'll do some writing samples. Be right back. Okay, so for this next segment let's take a look in terms of pen haul. What have I got for you this week? Well, first pen is this one. And, it was really a coincidence because I had ordered this pen, and then I believe just a few days later, Hemingway Jones managed to do a pen review on this pen, which is I think an accomplishment in and of itself. And I'm looking in my notes because I forget the exact name of this pen. I believe it's by Rytek, and I think there's click something in there as well. But let's open it up and see what gives. I've not opened it since I received it. Was away when this came in. So there we go. Okay. Interesting packaging. Here it is. Weird kind of a pen. And the weirdest part about this pen is that door that you see. When you close it, it opens up. But it's still there. Now, I'm doing a video on capless or retractable pens, and I felt compelled to include this one along with the next one that I received. So this one will form part of the mix. I may ink it up and just give you a kind of a bird's eye view of this pen. It's interesting, but I'm going to be doing a more detailed review and comparison and see how this pen compares to the other retractable pens in my collection. The next one that I have, and I finally got it, I ordered the JANAURAY 20, and somehow it got lost. And I had to cancel the order. Etsy was kind enough to reimburse me, and we ordered another one, and we did get it. This is the JANAURAY 20. I'm not sure what the difference between 10 and 20 is, But again, it will form part of my detailed comparison of retractable pens. The question with all these retractable pens, in my view, is which ones, remain, wet and usable, and which ones dry up on you. My recollection is that the JANAURAY 10, at least the one I have, had some dry nib issues. We'll see how this 20 does. In fact, I might ink it up, maybe just show you a writing sample right away, and then we'll let it sit there. And by the time I do my review, I will have be able to get a better idea as to its performance. So those are 2 retractable pens that we received. What else have I got? Repair service. Lo and behold, I finally got from Aurora, and I got to tell you, I was a little bit disappointed in how long it took. This pen is the Aurora Optima, and it's the Nero or pearl black, if you will, Nero Perla or Perla Nero. And I bought this from Atlas, and it had snapped right here, really all by itself. I didn't drop it. It was just, I don't know what happened. It snapped. Now, I did send it out for repair. Did they repair it or did they replace it? I'm not sure. I can't really tell. I do see some stains of ink there, which kind of suggests to me that maybe this is a repaired version. But it's difficult to say. If they repaired it, they must have used some glue. Yeah, I do see some signs of glue right there. You see that? Right there. So they may have just glued this. We'll see how long this lasts. But I'm going to ink this up as well with one of those inks. And we'll do a writing sample just to see if the nib out of the box, which I never got to use, from Aurora, performs or does it need to be played around with. So that's the third pen that I received. The next one, so the next pen is this one. This is a special edition of the 9019. They, on the website, it does come at a premium, indicate that this is a special lacquer. Japanese lacquered, I think 18 coats, takes I don't know how many days or weeks to complete. I don't know if the expression is maki or urushi processing. It doesn't say that per se. Let me read to you what the website says. The website says, this fountain pen is handmade with a 9019 model, the JANAURAY 9019, and uses Japanese imported paint. It requires 18 layers of paint to be applied, and each pen takes 2 months to make. The tip is also hand polished, and many fountain pen enthusiasts love it. We hope this pen will be loved by everyone. So if I go back to my overhead, now when I compare it to my other JANAURAY 19, I do see, the thickness there. Can you tell the difference? In other words, it does appear to be thicker than a normal 9019, which suggests that there may be as many as 18 coats, additional coats. So there you have it. Now, let's measure it. Okay, so let's go to 0, put that on. Okay, let me just see. If I put it in the middle, it reads 1826. Let me just take my normal JANAURAY 19. And it gives me 1755. So there is a difference. Let's see the barrel. $1666. Well, the barrel's, well, hold on now. I got it. The barrel does vary. So let me just take the barrel just underneath that 1514 and just underneath that middle section 1514. The barrel doesn't appear to be any thicker, however. So I don't know about the 18 coats. That's strange. Now, when I open it up, let me just show you. And I'm lucky to have that kind of the same color. I guess you could see that there's a little bit more chunkiness to right here. The step up is much thicker. Now, some people have complained, well, I could see that right here. You could see it's not perfect. You could see that, you see that? There is some, and I guess it's difficult to get perfection when you're doing it by hand, but it does appear to have been coated, at least. Now, some people have complained about this, over time chipping. I've not used this pen since I got it. Does it have, yeah, both have the holes on the back. So there you have it. And the nib is that kind of a heartbeat, Jinhao, medium. Now they say it's polished. This is not a heartbeat. The nib looks pretty similar to the ordinary. Yeah, I don't see the difference on the nib, but we'll give it a go. We're going to ink this up, and like the others, and maybe we'll ink up this one as well, just to see. Or actually, I'll take out another heartbeat. I have another Jinhao heartbeat nib, and we can ink those up and maybe do a comparison where a more detailed writing sample. Now, what else have I got for you? Well, in terms of, I also got this roller ball or ballpoint, but I think you can accommodate both. Now, how do I open this? Here we go, which I think is just an absolutely gorgeous writing instrument. It's from Sakura. Take a look at this. How nice that is. I think that's absolutely gorgeous. I don't know if you can share my view on this. Does this retract? Yes, it does. So it's retractable. We'll do a writing sample with it. But if I could get a fountain pen that kind of looks like that, it would be fabulous. And they come in different shapes and models and colors, and I chose this red one. So I'm really thrilled about this, and we'll put one of those inks in here. Oh no, wait a minute, I can't put an ink in there, but we'll see what kind of writing I can do with this Sakura. This is the 001 model, but I thought I showed that to you. I think it's an absolutely gorgeous writing instrument. It comes in nice packaging as well, Japanese. So there you have it. And in terms of pencils, what have I got for you? Well, I've got the Kurotoga collection. I've got the pièce de résistance. This is the Kurotoga dive. And the Kurotoga has that mechanism that when you write, the lead turns on you so that you get so it gets used up consistently all around. And because if you keep using it only on one side, eventually it comes to a point, so to speak, and this kind of balances things out. But I'm probably going to be doing a detailed review of these pencils. There is a magnetic cap, which is very satisfying. Then I have the Kurotoga Advance, which is, again, a very nice model. Very nice. I chose it in this blue. I've got the Kurotoga. What is this one? This one is the... Is it the Elite? Oh, the Roulette. This is the Roulette. Very nice. Again, 0.05. We'll do a detailed review of this, but just a beautiful mechanical pencil. And this is the Kurotoga wood. So it's got that special wood. Apparently this is a craze in Japan right now. And I bought it from a Japanese site. Very, very nice. Kurotoga wood. Again, 0.05. So those are my 3 mechanical pencils. It's a collection. I think it's all the Kurotogas. There may be only one that's missing from this. And I may actually do a video on these 4 mechanical pencils. So stay tuned for that. And maybe we'll do a writing sample of these pencils while we're at it. So there you have all of the pens that I've put together and that I received for this week. Why don't we ink some of those up, get some paper, and see how it all looks. Be right back. Okay, so we're back with some of the writing samples. Let's do some writing with those inks. First of all, this is my Optima. Let's hope it doesn't crack on me again. Disappointment was not only in the cracking, but it took months for it to come back. So this is my Aurora Optima Black Pearl. This is the translation. It's got a 14 karat fine nib. And yes, folks, that his in-house nib is performing just beautifully. And just so that we keep track of the ink that I've used in this pen, it's the R and K Aubergine. Oh, very nice. Yeah, let me just, can we close it up a little more? Yeah, here we go. Very nice. The pen writes nicely. The ink is nice. Next, let's take a look at this Janau. For the Janau, I put in the magenta. So this is the Janau 20. The model is kind of a semi-transparent. Kind of brown acrylic with gold, and it's a steel, and it's a fine nib as well. So far so good. Very fine, by the way. And it's R and K and magenta. In fact, it's so fine that it almost writes like an extra fine. I'm just wondering if I did order an extra fine. I don't think so. It's a fine. So there you have it. That's a Janau 20. Let's take a look at, before we do the 9019, let me just see how this rollerball ballpoint writes. This is the Sakura. Oh, very nice. It's the 001 in red. Whoops. I don't know what happened there, but... And I believe this is a 0.5. Yeah, probably change it to a medium or even a broad if I can get broad. It's just too fine for me, especially on this Clairefontaine paper where it just kind of slips and it doesn't really penetrate as much as the Tomoe River. Okay, so pièce de résistance. I wanted to see how this writes. I've got in here the Solferino. So this is the and I'm going to call it Special Japanese Lacquer. The nib is very juicy. The nib is a steel Jinhao number 8 heartbeat. It's a medium. The ink is the R&K Solferino. Nice and wet and juicy, I got to tell you. Very nice. You know, we kind of showcase, at least mea culpa, you showcase, you know, Asvine and what is it these days, Asvine, Mahjong, and Wing Sung with those juicy number 8 nibs. But, you know, there's nothing wrong with this Jinhao either, eh? And if I'm not mistaken, they're probably one of the first to come up with the number 8 nib. It's either them or our friends at Dieman. Let me just compare it to this other heartbeat nib that I have. This is the red demo. I think it's not as smooth. So when they said that it was polished, they could mean they just fine-tuned it. I mean, it's still smooth, but I find the one on the lacquered pen to be even smoother. But nothing wrong with either one of them, I gotta tell you. So there you have it. That's the those are the pens and that ballpoint, that Sakura ballpoint as well. Excellent, just excellent. Very happy with that Japanese lacquered 9019. It is a sharp-looking pen. It just goes to show you, you wonder what that, you know, the real Namiki Emperor looks like, eh? But it's nice red lacquer, very nice. Some imperfections, but very nice. So there you have it. Stay tuned for my next segment. Sorry, folks, I couldn't resist. I need to see how this pen writes on Tomoe River. So again, this is the, yeah. Yeah, no comparison, folks. I got to tell you, well, one thing's clear. Clairefontaine is not going to replace my Tomoe River. Very, very nice. Let me compare it to, let me just see how my Optima writes. I always have to be careful now because I'm afraid to snap it again. Yeah, I mean, there is absolutely no comparison. I mean, you do not get this writing experience on the Clairefontaine. Is it Clairefontaine? Is it an efficient paper? Sure. It's fountain pen friendly. You can write with it and take notes and all the rest of it. But if you want a nice writing experience, it does not compare, I'm sorry, to the Tomoe River. Let me just see how this rollerball writes on Tomoe River. Yeah, I mean, even this I still find it's too fine, or I don't know if it's getting dried up, but much better than on the Clairefontaine. I can assure you of that. But I'm going to make it a point to change the, what is the, let's check what the, yeah, I've not seen this model of refill, but I've got to check it out. If I can get either a medium or even a broad, I would go for that. I will let you know. Stay tuned. So there you have it. Now we can go to the, oh no, before we do that, let's look at my pencils. Okay, so this is the Kuro Toga wood. Very nice. This is that infamous dive. For some reason, this is much thicker. Is it 7? No, it's 5. Interesting. But I guess if this, because when you lift it, it rotates, it'll always be rounded off, I guess, making it such that it's a much thicker line. This is the Kuro Toga roulette. I've fallen in love with these mechanical pencil, folks. And they're much cheaper than fountain pens. And lastly, but not least, this is the Kuro Toga. And I'm not even snapping these 05 Advance leads. I'm kind of learning how to write with them nice and lightly. There you have it. So those are the pencils. Beautiful. Just beautiful. Be right back. Sorry, folks. We're not quite done. I forgot one pen. Let me just go to my overhead camera. Remember this one. I inked this up. Now, one of the issues here is that this doesn't have a kind of a converter. It has what looks like a just an adapted kind of a cartridge that you need to fill up with. I think you fill it up with a syringe, if you will, or I'm sure you can probably fit other cartridges. So I had to kind of let this pen settle for a while just to see. Get the ink to flow down, and I forgot to just do a quick writing sample. We'll do a more detailed review of this pen when I do my comparison video. But let me just see if the ink is kind of penetrated. And I'm very curious to see how that flap plays into the writing. So this is the Rytec. Very nice, actually. Wow. Very surprised. I mean, that opening, not convinced, but it doesn't interfere. I got to tell you, it doesn't really interfere. You kind of get used to it. You see it's there, and you just kind of live with it. Pen is comfortable. It's very light and cheap and not expensive at all. I think it's under 12 bucks. It does click. The question is, will it stay wet or dry? Well, stay tuned for my video. But there you have it. Now I'm done. Next section. In this next segment, I think I want to come back to the PENBBS 470 and kind of revisit that pen. Now, I had originally published a review on it, and only after, I think, a day or two, I pulled the review from YouTube because I realized that I had really screwed up when it came to the filling system. Completely erroneous information. I did, however, mention very clearly that there was something that I wasn't doing right, and that maybe somebody else will review it and give us a better look at this pen. So I did advise people that I was not comfortable with the way this pen's filling system was working out. And as it turned out, I did mess up. So I want to revisit this, and maybe also it kind of changes my mind on in terms of reviewing the pen itself. So first thing is that I don't know if it's because I've used it all week, but let me go to my overhead camera. The blue shimmer, or the blue, the blue resin, I think is not as nice as some that you find on the ASVine, and especially the Majon M800. Not as deep. The pen feels a little bit lighter. I'm not sure it rivals any of these other PENBBS pens, especially this one, which I believe is the 500, is it? Yeah, beautiful, the 500. I can feel it's just so much more substantive. This is their latest, the 467, is it? I forget now. No, the 556. Now, they tried to introduce a new filling system, or, their own type of filling system. And what I was doing wrong was that I was unscrewing this, and everything kind of just fell apart. And I said to myself, well, how do I, if this thing comes out, because it is kind of a vacuum, combination of a vacuum and piston, how do I fill this pen, And as it turns out, I didn't have to unscrew it. So you just have to loosen it up a bit and then pull. But it takes quite a bit of effort to pull. Now, let me be careful because I'm going to spill the ink. So as it turns out, for those of you who did see my video and no other videos, if you just pull it out, it is hard. You can see it stops there. Okay, so what I was doing is that portion was inside, and I unscrewed the whole block, which is not something I was supposed to do. The problem still is that what you're supposed to do is pump this once, twice, and then it comes back up, okay, because you go up and down. But then you got to get this thing down. So you got to put it over your bottle and push it down. And when you do, ink comes out. So frankly, you still get quite a bit of ink. But I don't see the purpose. I really don't see the purpose. So now what I need to do is kind of push that back down and hope that no ink. Okay, there must be very little ink in there. But frankly, I don't see the purpose. Just give me a vacuum fill or a piston filler. Yes, it's novel. They tried to do new things, but doing something new for the sake of something new. And this thing, the instructions weren't clear. And I'm going to pull this, and it's not. I don't think it's such a great thing. But having said that, I have been playing around with this pen all week in preparation for this recap. And I got to admit that the nib, and I did mention that in my original review, that the only salvation was in fact the nib on this thing. And hopefully I have enough ink. Just fabulous. So this is the PENBBS 470. Oh, wait a minute. Let me just make sure I get the number right. Yeah. In Blue Galaxy. Now, if I'm not happy with the rest, and this is a fine. So it's a steel fine nib. It does have some softness to it. And some line variation. Because, not only because it's a little soft, don't get me wrong, it's not springy, but it's soft. But it does have that kind of, you see that nib? Kind of an architect type of nib, which makes the whole thing just really, really pleasant. So, all to say is that I have mixed feelings about this pen. I still think it's not as substantive. The resin is not as deep as some of the others. It does have an interesting finials. It's got that new clip design, beautiful center band, gorgeous and absolutely outstanding nib. But this filling system that screwed me up, I don't think is worth the effort. That's my opinion. Anyway, I know some of you love this pen, and all the power to you. But, if I had to do it all over again, the only thing that would get me to buy this pen is that nib. The nib is just outstanding. And the fact that I just want to keep collecting my PENBBS pens. I've got them all and see no reason why I wouldn't add this one. Although in my review I said that if I would have to do it all over again, I probably wouldn't buy it. But now that I know that at least that filling system works, yeah, I still think I would add it to my collection. By the way, those finials are really nice. But the rest is kind of a pretty standard, straight-up design. So nothing novel there. So there you have it, the PENBBS 470 revisited. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. Where were the pens that I currently inked this week? Now this week, keep in mind, I came back from vacation, and frankly, I forgot what pens I was using before I left. But on Sunday, preparing for Monday morning, I put together a series of, 5 pens that I'll show you in a minute, which were the pens that I used all week. My objective during the week was the following. Let me go on my overhead camera, and I'm going to go into deeper detail in a separate video. But being 2026, I had to decide which daily agenda I would be using this year. And as I mentioned to you earlier, I had bought two. Bought the Obonichi Teco Cousin 2026 and its imitation, which is this Kimbor from China. I had a Kimbor last year, which, as you can see, is really almost a duplicate. It does have differences. Both have very nice paper. This is, I think, Sanson, or this is the new Tomo River, but they've corrected all the garbage performance that the previous year version had, apparently. And I had to decide which one I would be using during for the entire year. And at one point I said, well, you know what? I spent a fortune on this Obonichi. I might as well use it. This is, maybe a third of the price. But I still wanted to see what the difference was. And in order for me to properly appreciate the writing experience on each, you could see that. Let me just go to a page, one of my first pages here. This was a writing sample that I had done. Yeah, let's go to 4th because I'm still on vacation on the 5th, year the 5th. We'll go close up. As you can see, in my agenda, I have to deal with a very small square grid here. So usually when I enter, notations in my agenda for the day, I use a fine nib. So these are the pens that I ended up choosing. They all have fine nibs. I have, well, we saw the PENBBS, and let me just demonstrate. Typically, it's got to be fine enough to be able to take just two, if you will. So typically I would say, put here, I received a call from so-and-so with his phone number. So, recall that I need to call the person back. The next one is this Asvine C80 with the number 8 nib, but it's an extra fine. Now, the number 8 Asvine nibs, I think, are thicker. So the extra fine is a fine, the fine is a medium, the medium is a broad, and then you have the 1.1 stub. But it's still fine enough to be able to make my, what am I writing here, pen, notations small enough so that it fits that grid. What else was I using? I was also using, there was another pen and it's gone. I don't know where I put it. The other pen was the Platinum. But I also used this Pro Gear. So this is the Sailor not the Slim, the standard. Now, I think this is the FM, as they call it, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a little bit wider, but not much. I also used my Ogaiva. This is my Omas Ogaiva demonstrator with that fine nib. It wrote really nicely. And all of these pens I did travel with to Spain and Portugal. So I took them out of my pen case. I also added in the mix, this is, I will call it the Montefiore, because I think that's the company that's identified, or the JD, if you will. This is the 845 clone. But it has an Ungdian D5 nib, that springy nib, and it's running out of ink, I just noticed. Here we go. So that plus the platinum, and gee whiz, do I have it here? Must have it somewhere. Let me just check. This was the pen case that I traveled with. Did I put it in here? There it is. No. Where is it? No, I left it in another. Yeah, don't have it. Sorry, folks. Should have been prepared for this. No, I left it with one of my notebooks, but is the notebook here? Here we go. Here it is. Yeah, this is it. Because I had taken it out and was using it last night with a notebook. But it's the platinum. Beautiful pen. .3776 century, if you will. This is what they call a platinum. Is it the medium? Yeah. A platinum 14K medium nib, but which writes like a fine. But I enjoyed this pen with my smaller notebooks during my vacation. So when I'm visiting places, you'll see that in a video. I'm preparing one. But these were my currently inked for this week so that I could determine, and I'm not going to redo the same thing on this Kimbor, but I wrote in both the entries just to see which one I preferred, and I used these finer nibbed pens to kind of make a decision. And I think I have, but I will announce that when I do my video. I'm working on another video, which is my journal and notebook setup for 2026, which I hope to publish sometime very soon. So there you have it. Those were my currently inked for this week. What have we got for next week? Well, I've got a little surprise for you. Go back into my collection, and I've pulled out a bunch of pens. I'm going to ink them up with those R&K inks and maybe some other inks. And you know what? We'll be right back and see what gives. Stay tuned. Okay, we're back with my weapons for next week. Well, one of the changes I'm going to make this year is that I'm not going to ink 12 pens every week. As much as I'd like to have the variety, I think Vincenzo is exaggerating because I never really get to use the 12 pens. Sometimes I do because some of them fail, or I have very active writing sessions during the week so I can change things up, or the inks run out, etc. But very rarely do I get to consistently write with all 12 pens. So I think I'm going to go with a series of 6 pens. It also fits nicely into some of my pen cases. And maybe there will be 5 pens and 1 pencil, or 5 pens and 1 roller ball, depending on what comes in and what I want to kind of test during the week. So what have I got for you this week? Well, the 5 pens that I have for you this week are these little gems. Now, you must be wondering, what is that? Are those deltas? They sure look like deltas, don't they? But I think I've mentioned these Dolce Vita clones, which were, I think the story is they were permitted clones from Delta. They are Marte Modena. And some of you, the reason why I chose this is one of the viewers talked about Marte Modena in one of their comments, and it kind of brought me back, and I said, you know what, that'd be a great idea for next week. They are kind of inspired by the Dolce Vita. The name is also there, Dolce Vita Federico. Okay, they're actually numbered as well. There's a number there. Marte Modena got permission to make these pens from Delta at the time. as long as they did not sell the pens in certain markets, and I don't recall the exact details, but I remember Nino Marino mentioning this to me. Apparently it was a disaster, that affiliation. But having said that, they had a site, and one of my first few pens that I purchased were these, thinking that I was really getting deltas, but I really wasn't. There's a big difference between what's there and what's in a real pen, but in a real Dolce Vita, of course. And let me show you the real Dolce Vitas, be they the new one or the original. I mean, here are the two Dolce Vitas from Delta. First major difference is this center band. I mean, this is, in the original, I think it's silver, or I forget if it's silver or brass, but you can tell it's 3D, you know, it's not just a flat surface. But that's the Dolce Vita, or the DV 2.0, and that's my original oversize, which is my Grail pen. So there is a big difference in terms of quality. They may look similar, but trust me, even this Stantufo, which is the only piston filler in the gang, which is meant to be, you know, a or a copy of the actual Dolce Vita in its orange form. The Stantufo means it's Italian for a piston. It has got nothing, I mean, there's no comparison between this one and the real thing. But having said that, they're still very pleasant pens. I've got some different nibs on them. So what I propose is I'm going to check them out, make sure they're all inked, and we'll do some writing samples with these pens, and I will be right back. Okay, so we're back with my weapons for next week. Some of them have already been inked for some time, so I just primed them. I don't want to flush them out. There's a lot of ink in those converters. Now, I know that I did promise that I would do my best to identify the inks, but that will apply to only the pens that I ink specifically at any point in time, you know, at the time that I do the review. If they're already inked, you'll forgive me until we kind of do a transition. So the first one is this, I call it kind of a light green, but it's more kind of a ivory. It's got Dieman emerald in it. So this is the, whoa, I just inked it. Okay, here we go. Marte Modena Dolce Vita. And we'll put ivory or light green. The nib is a Marte Modena I think it's a broad. No, it's a medium. Medium nib. So these are the nibs. This is one of the nibs that came with the pen. You see, I think they're basically Bach nibs, in my view. They sure look like Bach feeds and Bach nib with just the M for Marte Modena branding. And they write, in my view, like Bach pens, but Bach nibs. So that's the light green. The other one that and let's not forget, the ink is Dieman Emerald. Okay. The other pen that I just inked is this one. It's the blue version. It has a stipula stub, which is probably my favorite steel stub nib. Apart from some of the Chinese now that we just got. But so this is the Marte, Modena Dolce Vita. And this is the dark blue. got a stipula number 6 steel stub, which are reported to be 0.09, but I got to tell you, this one kind of writes more like a 1.1 stub, and the ink is Sailor, just a simple Sailor Blue. One of my favorite inks. One of my favorite dark blue inks. The others, unfortunately, I cannot remember what ink is in. So, and as I mentioned, I didn't want to clean them out. There's just too much ink in there. So this is Marte Modena Dolce Vita light blue. It's got a Bach fine nib, which is absolutely awful. And give me a second. We're going to make this nib right. Okay, so we're back. What did we do? We just use these a little bit, just, you know, do those funny eights. And let's just see what happens. Yeah. Now it's a decent, very decent nib. So that'll be my fine nib for the week. For my agendas, I need the fine nib at all times. So what have we got left? We've got left the red one, which I will use to correct or for notes in the margin on printed documents. So this is the Marte. Wow. Oof. This nib is just a gusher for some reason. And this is the, again, it's the stipula number 6 steel stub. And it's writing like a 1.5 almost. Very nice. One of the irritating things about these pens, hear that rattle? Is that it's got this kind of a blind cap that you can control the converter from the outside, but it, you know, great converters, but unfortunately, because they're not perfect, they kind of rattle. But still, well, actually, I think they're just not tightened properly, so they don't rattle. Oh, no, they rattle. I can feel it. Okay, the last one is the Stantufo, which is the Italian for the piston. So this is the only piston version of the 5. So this is the Marte Modena Dolce Vita. It's got a beautiful orange ink in it. I wish I could recall which one it is, but it's kind of an orange red. It's got, it too has a stipula stub. This is more like a 1.1, number 6, and it's steel. And the pen is writing just fabulously. There we go. Very nice. So there you have it. Those are my 5 go-to pens for the week. And I think we'll probably add to that that Sakura rollerball or ballpoint that I'll use for some signatures of some of my letters. So there you have it for the week, folks. Those are my weapons for next week. Going to enjoy those. Stay tuned for the next segment. Be right back. Okay, so what's coming up in terms of YouTube reviews and what's coming up for the channel itself? Well, I have some older videos that I have yet to publish. The one I published last week from Ranga was just an older purchase that I kept to reserve. You know, sometimes I have videos that are kept just in case I can't put something out as scheduled. I don't want to disappoint, so I always have some in reserve. I have a couple of those, and Ranga was one of them just because I was back from vacation and yet, you know, didn't have the time to create a brand new one or a recent one. But I think I will be able to, between now and next week, to be able to work on something new. But I've got many things on the operating table, so to speak. First of all, I've got 6 pens that are not Chinese pens, 5 of which I think are Grail pens. 2 of which I purchased while I was away in Spain and Portugal. Particularly, I purchased them in Spain. The 6 pens, one of you said, hey, you're not doing enough German pens. So 3 of those 6 pens are German, or from German pen makers, and 3 are from Italian pen makers. So that's for my non-Chinese purchases. So we're talking about 6. Just gorgeous pens. So I'm going to give them to you a little bit at a time, although I'm tempted to just let me enjoy them while we're at it. Some of them haven't arrived, actually. Actually, 2 of them are on their way. So I shouldn't say that. Well, one has arrived at a small boutique. A friend of mine who owns a jewelry shop. I think I mentioned him before. Caprice Jewelry here in Montreal does offer Montegrappa pens and Aurora pens, and I purchased a beautiful Aurora pen from him, which is not an Optima, after having discussed it and negotiated a discount with the vice president of Aurora when she showed up. And I think if you saw that recap, you'll recall that. The other pens are 5 ordered Chinese pens. One of which is the Asvine J16 Ebonite, which, as I mentioned earlier, only comes out in February, but it's been ordered on Amazon. There is an Admock in there. There is a Wing Sung in there. There are some nibs that I've ordered. And I've also ordered a couple of Andean pens, which I'm very anxious to show you, but probably will show them to you in conjunction with one of the Grail pens that I purchased in Spain. So, no spoilers alert there, but just a heads up. What else have I got for you? Well, I've got those Colorverse, those 4 Colorverse inks celebrating the Year of the Horse. I think the Year of the Horse would be great. Also ordered a Year of the Horse statuette to go with some of my, B-roll for my videos. In terms of actual videos, well, some of these pens and all of these pens will get reviewed in detail. Some of them will be shown in, I want to do that retractable pen video finally. I think I've managed to get them all in with the 2 that I've mentioned to you in this recap. There's also a video that I want to do on my trip to Portugal and Spain. So that's in the works as well. And many, many, many more. Many, many more. Got lots of ideas. So I'm refreshed. It's a happy new year, as they say. So stay tuned. In terms of actual YouTube videos that I would recommend to you for this week, I've not had the time to digest any videos, I got to tell you, from other YouTube reviewers. In the last week, I just had kind of so much work. I had to catch up, both here from my channel and more importantly at my office. So I have really none to recommend to you other than probably the usual suspects, Doodlebud and Inquiring Minds, S.B. Brown. I'm sure Hemingway is kind of, published some interesting videos, and I'm sure you can look them up yourself. So none for this week, but promise we'll come back with that segment for next week. So there you have it, folks. That's my first weekly recap for 2026. And you know what? Enjoy your week. Stay tuned for a surprise this Wednesday. Don't know what it is. I'm working on it. We'll be working on it as we speak. And enjoy the rest of the week. Enjoy your pens. Enjoy your inks. Journal. Do lots of writing. And you know what? Be well. Grazie. Ciao.